Welcome back to New Rockstars. It's me, MT, and did you know that there was a Loki Easter egg hidden within Multiverse of Madness that pretty much everybody missed? Yeah, they actually put the entire sacred timeline in Multiverse of Madness, but I don't think anyone noticed. But I did, because I'm a weirdo without a life and a girlfriend. It's been 2 very long years. So let me show you where that sneaky ass Sam Raimi put that shit real quick, because it's actually quite clever and it helps us understand the entire MCU cosmic hierarchy as a whole. But before we do that, make sure you head on over to newrockstarsmerch.com so you can pick up our latest Obsession shirts inspired by Thor Love and Thunder. It's an amazing shirt, but it's not gonna last forever. So head on over to newrockstarsmerch.com immediately so you can buy you a nice Thor shirt today. Also our new Thor hats, because they're pretty cool. All right, so the sacred timeline in Multiverse of Madness appears during that trippy sequence of Steven and America tumbling through the multiverse in a very nauseating fashion, specifically towards the beginning of that sequence. Check it out. Stop! You see that glowy shit right there? That super secret glowy shit branching off in crazy ways inside of this black hole? Doesn't that look familiar? Doesn't that look like something that Marvel literally showed us at the beginning of the Loki finale? Play that clip for the audience, Joshua.
Motivated by women of the world.
What is grief if not love persevering?
I will rise.
Open your eyes.
Yeah, that's because the beginning of the Loki finale literally showed us the exact location of the Citadel at the end of time by zooming inside of the supermassive black hole that has formed at the very end of time in the MCU itself. Like I've said many times in the past, especially during my video on the Marvel trigger theory that I always bring up, where I literally brought this exact thing that I'm telling you up months ago, because as I've said many times in the past, Marvel Studios has crafted their entire cinematic universe around scientific fact and theory. And scientists in real life actually theorize that towards the end of our universe's life, there is going to be a period of the end of the universe called the black hole era, where all the energy and matter that has ever existed in the universe will reside within black holes that have sucked all of that energy in. Like all of the matter that used to be me, you, Haley Steinfeld, Martin Luther King Jr., Saturn, Uranus, the Andromeda Galaxy, Haley Steinfeld again, all of that matter and energy that ever existed will eventually find itself swirling outside of the extremely powerful gravitational pull of a black hole, a supermassive black hole to be specific, only to be trapped inside of it until one day that black hole finally dies and all the energy inside of it explodes brighter than the biggest supernova ever known to man. Like black holes actually die in a massive flash of light, which is quite ironic. This is specifically where I believe He Who Remains has situated himself in the MCU in Loki's season 1 finale, and exactly what Doctor Strange and America Chavez are directly outside of as they get yeeted across time and space. I believe that He Who Remains built himself a castle on a slowly crumbling mound of incredibly dense vibranium in the middle of the biggest supermassive black hole at the end of time, and has been manipulating that black hole's gravity to control the glowing energies of every single thing that has ever existed in a neat little bow that he calls the sacred timeline. Like the sacred timeline is just the energies of everything that ever existed and everything that has ever happened. A sacred timeline that is now in complete chaos and disarray ever since He Who Remains decided to let his very control over that supermassive black hole's gravity go after having his last ever conversation with Loki 1 and Loki 2. Spoiler alert, Loki 2 has a knife. And I believe that this specifically happened during that weird moment when He Who Remains tells the two that they've all crossed this invisible something called the threshold.
We just crossed the threshold.
Wait, did you see that? Did you see what Kang was doing? Kang was testing out the gravity shift, like the exact moment the glowing energies of the sacred timeline stopped being forced into a neat bow by Kang's control of the black hole's gravity, thus allowing excessive timeline branching to start to occur. Like He Who Remains did all that shit on purpose. Because by crossing the ultimate black hole's gravity threshold, He Who Remains had officially retired, which is why he starts being extremely candid and honest with both Lokis immediately afterwards. Like he's just completely telling them the truth because he doesn't have to lie anymore because he won. Likely because Kang realized that the act of actively conquering was a lot less boring than being the winner whose conquering days are long gone, which is why he was practically begging to be stabbed by Sylvie, because homeboy knew that his energy was about to be recycled within those very energies going crazy right outside the castle, which is why I believe the camera does a really clever symbolic pan from his dead body to the sacred timeline right outside his window. A window that I believe was cleverly designed by the Loki team to look like a black hole with 6 balls of swirling energy around it, with each ball representing an Infinity Stone energy singularity that make up everything in the MCU universe and keep it all together. For you see, my nerd babies, this trippy Doctor Strange sequence in Multiverse of Madness isn't just a random series of images meant to flex the incredible artistic abilities of Marvel Studios' CG partners, who should definitely be paid more because they're amazing. Oh no, because I believe what these two are actually tumbling through is the actual cosmic hierarchy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's go through it together, shall we? All right, so America's first portal brings us to the domain of multiple variants of the Living Tribunal, which caused a lot of people familiar with the comics to scratch their heads because as far as we know, the Living Tribunal's job is to watch over the MCU's multiversal sacred timeline. So like one Living Tribunal for the entire multiverse. So like, why are there multiple Living Tribunals in this shot? Well, the reason for this is because we're at the very top of the MCU hierarchy, with each Living Tribunal each having authority over their own sacred timelines, presumably with their own TVAs. Like, remember how the opening of the Loki finale opened with not one, but 2 supermassive black holes in frame? I believe that these are 2 separate Marvel multiverses, each with their own dedicated Living Tribunal that is represented in this field of Living Tribunals in Multiverse of Madness. Like, I believe that other black hole was a whole nother multiverse, like with a whole bundle of universes, possibly even the Fox X-Men universe, but we won't get into that right now. And it also explains why right after they crash into a Living Tribunal, the outside of the sacred timeline can be seen next, because the only person with more authority than the person pulling the strings of the TVA is the Living Tribunal themselves. So basically we're going from Living Tribunals to one specific Living Tribunal who is watching this one specific black hole with the sacred timeline, because that is their black hole. Then after this, we find Doctor Strange and America Chavez among a field of jagged crystals going every which way in the most chaotic manner possible. These crystals are what I believe to be what each branching tendril of the sacred timeline looks like, and the very reason why America's timeline hopping punches have a crystal shattering effect. Because as soon as these two progressed into the sacred timeline after having passed both the Living Tribunal and Kang's supermassive black hole at the end of time, they started crashing through each of these crystal tendrils of the timeline. And the actual multiverse hopping actually begins with the Beehive universe being the first universe these two visit together, because before that they were just outside of the sacred timeline. They weren't even in the sacred timeline yet, before of course crashing through different variant New York cities along their way to Earth 838. Like, I strongly believe that each crystal wall that they crash through is a crystal tendril of the sacred timeline, and that America Chavez's punches basically shatter the crystal walls of the sacred timeline at will, which is pretty damn cool. But yeah, this is the big Loki Easter egg in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I feel like this is a big deal because it basically shows that Loki and Disney Plus shows have a really big impact on the MCU moving forward, and that the actual events of the Loki finale are beginning to find itself manifesting in the actual big screen MCU. So very excited. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You can follow me at MasterTainment on Twitter if you want to see me tweet some weird shit and really fun theories. But most importantly, you can follow New Rockstars wherever we are on social media. And when you do on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get notifications every time we upload a video. And of course, do not forget to hit up newrockstarsmerch.com to pick up our latest Obsession shirt inspired by Thor, Love and Thunder. It's dope. And also don't forget to hit up our Discord if you want to continue the New Rockstars conversation. But again, thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.